The world stood still for a moment when the heartbreaking news broke. John Lodge, the legendary bassist and co-lead vocalist of the Moody Blues, had passed away. Fans around the globe shared collective silence, but for one man, that silence was deeper and far more personal. For Kristian Lodge, John wasn't just a global icon or a musical genius. He was Dad, the man who taught him how to live, how to love, and how to follow his heart. Kristian's tribute to his father was not the speech of a celebrity's son. It was raw, it was real, and it came from the soul of a man who had just lost his greatest hero. In his voice, there was pain, but also strength, love, and pride. He didn't just speak about John Lodge, the musician. He spoke about John Lodge, the father, the husband, the believer, and the quiet force who shaped his entire life. Kristian grew up in a home where music wasn't just background noise. It was a way of breathing. Born into a family where the hum of guitars, the rhythm of bass lines, and the gentle power of melodies filled the air, Kristian learned early that his father's gift was something extraordinary. But John never forced that gift on him. Instead, he opened doors gently, patiently, and let his son walk through them on his own terms. From a young age, Kristian was fascinated not only by the stage, but also by the man who stood on it. He remembered sitting in the corner of rehearsal rooms, watching his father tune his guitar, listening to his warm, steady voice. To the world, John was a legend. To Kristian, he was a storyteller, someone who could make a melody sound like a memory. While Kristian admired his father's accomplishments, John was always more concerned with the kind of man his son would become. He taught Kristian about respect, humility, and faith. He believed that success wasn't about fame or money. It was about staying true to your heart and treating others with kindness. This foundation would later become the bedrock of Kristian's own journey. Kristian grew into a gifted musician in his own right, walking the fine line between honoring his father's legacy and forging his own path. While many children of famous artists struggle to find their identity, Kristian embraced his roots without letting them define him entirely. His father had always encouraged individuality, reminding him that music wasn't about imitation, it was about expression. Over the years, Kristian performed alongside his father on several occasions, moments that became some of the most precious memories of his life. Whether in a quiet studio session or standing on a grand stage, those shared notes were never just sounds. They were conversations, father and son speaking a language only they fully understood. When the world shut down during the pandemic, their bond became even more visible to fans. John Lodge recorded the song, "In These Crazy Times," in his home studio. Kristian played lead guitar on the track. His father's voice carried wisdom and warmth, while his guitar echoed emotion and connection. That recording wasn't just music, it was a portrait of a father and son standing together through uncertain times, finding light through melody. John had always been proud of Kristian, not just for his talent, but for his heart. He often described his son as his greatest gift. And Kristian, in turn, often shared how much his father's humility, faith, and love shaped him into the man he became. Beyond the lights and fame, their bond was built on love, faith, and shared purpose. When John passed away suddenly on October 10th, 2025, the world mourned a legend. But for Kristian, it was losing the man who raised him, the person who believed in him unconditionally, the steady anchor in his life. Standing before a sea of mourners at the private family memorial, Kristian took a deep breath and began his tribute. He started not with grandeur, but with gratitude. "He was my father before he was anyone else," Kristian said softly. "To the world, he gave his music. To me, he gave his heart. And no stage was ever bigger than our home." His words painted a picture of the man behind the legend, a father who never missed his son's milestones, who made breakfast on quiet mornings, who prayed with his family, and who reminded everyone around him that kindness was the greatest legacy a person could leave behind. Kristian spoke of how his father's laughter filled rooms, how his presence brought calm, and how his faith gave their family strength. He shared the memory of their last conversation, a simple talk about life, love, and the future. John had told him, "The most important song you'll ever write is the one that lives in your heart. Don't let the noise of the world drown it out." Those words, now etched in his soul, became his compass moving forward. Kristian also spoke about his father's incredible love for his wife, Kirsten, and how their 50-plus years of marriage taught him what real love looks like. He described how his parents shared not just a life, but a purpose, one grounded in faith and devotion. To him, their marriage was the truest love song his father ever wrote. Through the tears, there were smiles. He told stories of family dinners filled with laughter, late-night talks on the porch, and little moments that no stage could ever compete with. He remembered how John would always call him son with a quiet pride, how he would gently correct him, encourage him, and remind him that no dream was too big when it came from the heart. Kristian acknowledged the outpouring of love from fans around the world, saying how deeply moved the family was to see how many lives his father had touched. He spoke of John's music as something eternal, a heartbeat that will never stop. And in a soft, trembling voice, he said, "Dad, I promise you this. I will keep your song alive. Not just through music, but through how I live." His tribute wasn't just a farewell. It was a vow. Kristian made it clear that his father's legacy would live on not just in records and awards, but in family, in faith, and in every person whose life was changed by his music. He thanked the fans for their love, his mother for her strength, and his sister Emily for standing by his side. Kristian Lodge's own journey is still being written. Like his father, he carries music in his veins, but also kindness in his heart. He continues to perform, write, and honor the values his father instilled in him. He isn't trying to replace John Lodge's legacy. He's carrying it forward with grace, with love, and with a heart that knows what it means to be the son of a legend. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a chorus of gratitude. A world saying thank you to a man who gave them so much. And as Kristian looked up at the sky, he whispered softly, "I love you, Dad." Some say grief is the price of love. For Kristian, it's also proof that what they shared was extraordinary. He carries his father in his heart, in every note he plays, in every breath he takes. The world may remember John Lodge as a legend, but Kristian will always remember him as the man who made him who he is, his father, his hero, his best friend.